Today's letter is Samek, and it's a picture of a barbed or a thorned plant. To the ancients, this was the best way to illustrate something which firmly holds things in place, something that prevents movement, and that has the ability to turn things around. Unless you've actually been caught in a thorn bush, you might not realize how much of a hold it could have on you. But there are other things that act like a Samek that can help us understand this letter better. A fishhook, for example, is a barbed piece of metal which grabs hold and won't let go. And an anchor does the work of a Samek, holding ships securely in place. The Hebrew word which most closely corresponds to the letter Samek is the word Samak, and it means to lay hold, to hold up, and to firmly hold in place. It's written that the Lord sustains us, He upholds us. The word for sustain and uphold is Samak. We happen to think that the letter Samek holds the key to one of the most mysterious words of the Bible. We'll get to that, but you'll have to hold on. Sorry. So we're going to talk a little bit about the word samak and how it gets used in the Hebrew because it's got plenty of uses. One of them is where you see the phrase lay hands, like the priest laying hands onto an animal before sacrifice. The word there is samak. And that's actually a really good illustration of what the word means, because when you're about to sacrifice an animal, it's not some soft placement of the hands. It's you got to get a firm grip. You have to hold on to them pretty well before you sacrifice them.
You have to hold on to the animal. Yeah.
So the whole concept of animal sacrifices makes people uncomfortable, and they feel bad for the animals. But I wanted to bring this up because you told me a long time ago something that made a lot of sense, which is we're not supposed to like it.
We are not supposed to like it. You were required to save a sacrificial lamb without blemish so you could offer it up. And I'm going to tell you, the kids fell in love with it. Everyone loved the little lamb. And you had to give it up because you sinned. So you took your offering and you held it down. You laid hands. The priests laid their hands. And by doing so, Father took your sins and put them on the lamb. And that became a sacrificial lamb. When people started using that as just why not, I could do anything I want as long as I could lay hands on the lamb and transfer my sins. That got Father angry that you're just hurting animals, and that's when he writes he prefers mercy better than sacrifices, because if he could give mercy, that means you repented.
Yeah.
Without having to slaughter a lamb.
You were also telling me about not just the physical use of samak, but that it's also used in a spiritual sense.
Yeah, yes it is. I really had to share this when I found this one. Our forefather, Isaac, and he's with Jacob, our father, and our brother Esau. And I guess Esau didn't care about the blessing, but Jacob did. And so he went, everyone knows, he snuck in and took the blessing. And when Esau found out, he asked our father Isaac. And Isaac answered and said unto Esau, Behold, I have made him thy Lord, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants, and with corn and wine have I samaked him. And what shall I do unto thee, my son? He's saying, I have given him a blessing, and it is established, it is set up, it's unmovable. This one, now this one is astonishing. This Samak is forever and ever and ever. This one is from Father, established by Father. You could tell the Spirit moved on everyone to speak there. And Isaac spoke in the Spirit. And it was set up for this and the next life and forever and ever. Father doesn't variate. So this is an amazing, astonishing Samak to me. An establishing of the line of Jacob, from which Messiah comes, commander. And then by doing so, Father gives this blessing now and forever and ever. Wow. Samak.
There are a few letters in the Hebrew alphabet that make an S sound. There's Samek, and Sade, and Shin, also called Sin. If you read the Bible in English, it's often impossible to tell which of these three letters was used in the original Hebrew. Take a look at these 5 names of people and places. They all have the letter S in English, but only one of them has a Samek in Hebrew. The letter Shin is the one that eventually became our modern English letter S. Samek and Sade are 2 of the few ancient Hebrew letters that didn't make it into the Latin alphabet. By the time of the Judges, the tribes of Israel had already begun to lose their common speech. So when one tribe went to war against another, they were able to identify the opposing tribe by their pronunciation of a single word. To one tribe, that word was Shibboleth. To another, it was Sibboleth. Okay, what is this? Wait!
No, I'm not going to hit it.
Wait, what is this? What is this man guilty of?
Well, instead of saying Shibboleth, he said
Shibboleth.
Wait.
This is what happens when you say Shibboleth.
You enjoyed that far too much.
That was good.
The Shibboleth-Sibboleth battle took place over 3,000 years ago. Today, there are even more variations in how Hebrew is spoken. It all depends on what country or region you learned Hebrew in, and how your variation of biblical Hebrew was influenced by local languages and dialects. And ultimately, it depends on how your Hebrew teacher taught you how to pronounce things. Today, all around the world, there are different ways of pronouncing the Hebrew letters, differences in how each vowel point is pronounced, and differences in which syllables are emphasized in words. Some say Shabbat, and some say Shabbos, as just one example. When it comes to how to pronounce ancient Hebrew, no one knows for sure. What we do know is that one day, Father will teach us the correct way to speak his language. Ashrei nesui pesha kesui chata. Ashrei adam lo yakshov yohev ohe lo avon ve'en berucho remia. Ki herashti balu atzamai beshagati kol hayom. Ki yomam v'layla tikbar alai yadecha. Nehepak leshadi beharvoneka yitzela. Chatati odiacha, va'avoni lo chisiti. Amarti odeale, ושאלה יאהבוה, ואתה נסעת עוון חטאתי סלע, על זאת יתפלל כל חסיד, אליך לעת מצוא, רק לשפט מים רבים, אליו לא יגיעו. אתה סתר לי, מצר תתרני, רונף עלי תסובבני סלע. If you've ever read the Book of Psalms, you've probably come across the word Selah. Selah is a Hebrew word that no one knows how to translate. It gets put off to the side of the text, and many people just ignore it when they read the Psalms out loud. We have our own thoughts on what the word may mean, but first, let's take a look at a few of the popular theories on the meaning of Selah.
So you want to tell them about the word Selah and what they think it means in the Psalms?
Yeah, so one theory on the word is that it is a musical notation. It could mean crescendo, it could mean something else, but it's a direction to the players or to the singers to do something. So the problem that I have with that is I don't have a vast knowledge of how music is written and composed, like formally, because I don't have any formal training.
Yeah.
You have formal training.
Right.
You're classically trained.
Right.
But my assumption is that if there's a musical notation that means, let's say, go faster, then there should be another musical notation that says go slower.
It would differ than just Selah, the same speed or same volume.
Yeah, there should be like a spectrum there, or the opposite.
Right.
So we were talking, and you were telling me about how in classical music there are a couple different spectrums, like for volume.
Right. I mean, every piece is going to come with a speed notation before you start. You'll look at the top of the piece and it'll say allegro, which is fast, or lento, which is very slow, or vivace, which is really fast. That's one of the faster ones, or prestissimo, lively, fast. But you're not going to get the same speed for every piece. Or volume. There's different notations of volume within the piece. And
like what, for example?
Your basic ones are piano and forte. So piano would be soft, forte would be loud, and then variations thereof. Like mezzo piano would be medium soft, mezzo forte, medium loud. Then you'll have your fortissimo, which is your loudest, one of the louder ones. So, but you're not going to have the same, you're going to have a lot of variation within a piece with the volume. So for David to have only one of those, whether it's speed or volume, for every psalm, as he's singing it, doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Yeah.
What does crescendo? Because one of the theories is that it means crescendo. Can you explain what a crescendo is?
Yeah, whatever volume you're at within the piece, and you see a crescendo, you're going to start there, whatever you're at, and you're going to gradually get louder to the whatever volume it says at the end.
Okay.
So, for instance, if you're playing mezzo piano, medium soft, and you see a crescendo, you're going to start at medium soft and gradually get to whatever it notates at the end of your crescendo. So if it's forte, you're going to start medium soft to loud.
Now, is there an opposite of crescendo?
Yeah, you're going to see a decrescendo, which is the backwards crescendo.
Okay.
So you're going to start louder and gradually get softer.
So what are the odds that David would only write, and it's not just David, there are other authors of the Psalms who use the word Selah, but what are the odds that there would only be a crescendo and he would never decrescendo?
Yeah, that's not going to happen. That never happens. You're always going to have variations on volume. Yeah, so that theory is probably not possible.
There's one other major theory on the word Selah, and that is that it means to pause. That when the reader sees the word Selah, they should pause and think about what they just read. There are a couple different reasons why this theory is supported, and actually one of them has to do with another letter that makes the S sound. They think the word Selah possibly derives from the word Shelah.
Well, there are many S sounds, but the difference between those S type of sounds is the characters.
Yes.
So let's go to the word Selah in original Hebrew, and let's look at every character and see what it actually is telling us.
Okay. So in Paleo, the word Selah is spelled Samek, Lamed, Hey.
Hey. Well, the first one, Samek, is to hold.
Yeah.
To set. To be set in. To set up. To set it up. And then the second is Lamed. Follow. Be led. Listen to.
It's very often used for teach or teaching.
For
or
teaching,
learning.
for correct teaching, And then, hey, oh man.
It's a picture of the man.
So hold fast, oh man. Hold this teaching, oh man. That's what the letters mean. Now, as a poet, you would use that musically, I suppose. But there is a direct meaning of the three letters. After he gave his psalm, he would say Selah, which is Samek, hold, teachings, Lamet, hey, oh man.
So hold fast to this teaching, oh man, or mankind.
Yes.
Or
I've heard some people say meditate on this. I've heard people say
right.
meditate and hold to this. Hold to this and keep this close to your heart and meditate on it.
I've never heard anyone say that. I've heard them say to meditate in the sense that it means pause. Mm-hmm. But I think people since at least the 4th century BC have been pausing to see what Selah means, and they have no idea. But I think what you're saying, hold fast to this teaching, that's something new.
That's exactly what the letters in Paleo are telling us. Now, if you try to use it in another language, it won't work. But in Father's language, yes, it makes sense. Now, I cannot answer if it's used poetically.
Right.
That's a whole different category.
Yeah.
For that, we'll have to wait till the prophets tell us, or Father tells us, which will be very soon.
So I went through all of the Psalms and took a look at where the Selah comes after. It's not actually just at the end of Psalms. Sometimes it's after a couple lines, and sometimes it's multiple times in the Psalms. And so there are some general concepts. If these are teachings that we're supposed to hold fast to, these are the general teachings that come before the word Selah. You want to hear them?
Let's hear them.
Enemies rise against the righteous, and the righteous speak of trials and affliction. This is nothing new. And those who came before us prayed for us as we go through our own afflictions that they knew we would. Father hears us, He helps us, He saves us, and He forgives us. He is our refuge. Man is mortal, and he's full of vanity and evil, and judgment is coming. God is king, and he will rule in Zion, and he will remember his people Jacob, and we are to remember that he once went before his people in the wilderness.
Selah.
Selah. Those are the statements that precede the Selah. Those are, if it means to hold fast to those teachings, those are things to remember.
Selah takes me to that verse that the prophet said, in God's law will I meditate day and night.
Yeah.
That's what the prophet wrote. Basically, that's what it's telling you. It's telling you to take this teaching and lock it in yourself, hold it in yourself. Selah. That's what the letters in Hebrew say, original. The next thing we wanted to cover was
Sukkot, the Feast of Tabernacles.
the Feast of Tabernacles means the feast where everybody sets up tents.
Yes.
Feast of Tents is the actual interpretation, and in original Hebrew, it's Sukkah.
Yes.
Now, in Paleo, in original Hebrew, the letters are Samek, Kof, Hey. Let's take a look at the letter Samek. Set up, establish, build up. The letter Kof is cover. The letter Hey, yourselves. Set up, cover yourselves. Sukkah. If all of you are called into assembly to show up to a feast and you're all going to do it at once, then you change the Hey to a Tav.
Right.
And that is Sukkot.
So the tav ending makes it plural.
Exactly. So that's going to be a feast that's established forever, now and in the next life. It says we will be doing the Feast of Tabernacles once a year.
Yes.
We will go there and do Sukkot.
All the families of the earth are required to do this in Millennium.
Exactly. And if anyone doesn't,
No rain.
no rain. Off to the dust bowls of the earth.
Yeah.
So, but of course we're going to show up. It's a time to celebrate.
One of the things that you're supposed to celebrate at Sukkot, at the Feast of Tabernacles, is Father's blessing on your land and on the work of your hands and on the produce that has come from the land because he's blessed you. So the reason you don't get any rain if you don't show up, there's nothing for you to celebrate.
Ain't much of a celebration.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Most people, when they talk about Sukkot, you hear about the booths in the wilderness, and it's to commemorate the time that the house of Israel spent in the wilderness with Father when he delivered them from Egypt.
The house of Israel is going to go through 3.5 years in the wilderness again, it says.
Yes.
And when they spend the 3.5 years in the wilderness, they'll be talking about it in Millennium.
Right.
Correct?
So it'll be a new reason to celebrate.
Exactly. The apostle wrote that eagle comes and takes this woman and hides her in the wilderness and feeds and nourishes her for time and a times and a half a times. And afterwards, that woman will be celebrating Sukkah or Sukkot
Yeah.
in Millennium. And they'll be talking about, that's basically Israel and the lost tribes being established, and they'll be talking about what happened during that times and half a times, during what's called the tribulation.
Yeah.
So that's what they'll be doing in Sukkot.
It's probably going to be the first time that the lost tribes have celebrated Sukkot since the days of Joshua. Because when Ezra and these guys came back from captivity in Babylon, it's written that the only tribes that returned to the land were Judah, Yehuda, Levi, and Benjamin. So all of the other tribes completely scattered at that point. So just those 3 tribes come back. And one of the things that Ezra says is they came to Jerusalem and they celebrated Sukkot, and that this had not been done since the days of Joshua.
Can you imagine that? Wow.
Absolutely unbelievable. I couldn't believe it when I read it.
Well, it says, we'll remember in the days, and these are them, that our forefathers sinned and they didn't listen. And he told us to don't do as the heathen do, because if you do as the heathen do, then I'm going to do unto you, right? Like if you don't do what I say to the heathen, then I will do unto you what I was going to do unto the heathen. So that's what
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
So here we are, the lost tribes, and one day, very soon, we'll be marching back toward the land,
Yeah.
and we will be living in tents,
In Sukkot.
in sukkahs.
Sukkot.
Exactly. So, Samek, one of the good things is Israel, all of Israel, will be reestablished.
Yes, all the tribes.
Veniva Sheya, Israel, and all Israel will be saved.
Yeah.
So some from every tribe. And now all of you that are of the nations, every tongue, every language, every nation, every type. If you read, you're going to be established, Samek, into one of the tribes. Those of you going through, you're gonna join a tribe. You could pick any one you want, but those that know Father and have Yeshua as their Savior and go through, like those of you who are here and remain living, you're gonna join the tribe. You're gonna become Beni Israel, right? So, hope you're enjoying this. And this is we're bringing it to you from original Hebrew. Before the nations took the letters and gave them different meanings and different uses. One day we're going back to this. Shalom, shalom unto Israel.